Hello, myself Sunil Ramkrishnan, and here basically we are discussing about the formula keyword, and this is 170 number ongoing formula 170. So here basically in last basically we have discussed lots of formulas topics in the formula. What are the things getting contained? How many balance sheet contains in one attributes? Formulas is equal to set of attributes, and set of attributes are equal to set of balance sheets, and how the balance sheets are connected, how basically the sales industry is coming into the picture, how mall industry basically are handling the sales part, each and everything basically we have. So right, in Bollywood industry, how the stories are getting generated, how basically Bollywood group says that this city is going to generate this type of stories 100%. So how they are sure that it's 100%? Because they have the data of the subscription plan which the government is going to take. If they have the subscription plan, then basically Bollywood groups are who, how basically they got the authority to get the each and every access. So these Bollywood groups are also connected with the government. So Bollywood groups says that yeah, basically our people are also inside the government, because to display something basically we are the only authorized person to display the things in the cities. For example, in this city, this place basically this statue has to be removed, and instead of this statue basically this the object is has to be placed. That's only basically Bollywood groups can do, because the display purpose is given to the Bollywood groups. So they decides on the base of certain formulas, certain data which is going to be passed according to the subscription plan. Each and every country basically, for example, subscription plan basically are taken by the government, and it's given by the World Bank. But each and every country basically, for example, India is getting subscription plan. So in India basically, sorry, the in World Bank basically there are some representative of the Indian groups that are basically of the India country. Previously basically it was non-Indian groups basically who were handling the India subscription, but nowadays basically the Indian groups are also joined the subscription plan industry. This is basically one industry, you can say subscription plan industry. So subscription is one word basically which has converted into industry nowadays, because if you want to do any season setting, then basically subscription is the only option. And I have taken that there are around 4 to 5 lakh 3 to 4 lakh subscription plans basically which is basically created for especially for India. So you can just imagine the expenses are also basically made for the India. 3 to 4 lakh subscription plan which is created by the World Bank. So you can just imagine the expenses made for the 200 crore Indian population. You can just imagine 3 to 4 lakh subscription plan. And I have taken one example. If you want to do the give the rain in the particular city, then 15,000 cities are there, right? So 15,000 cities energies are basically dumped into the one India country, and then basically the rain gets fall. So rainy season basically handles getting handling like this way. So you can just imagine the expenses made for the India country. That basically you can just imagine. So lots of people says that what government expense is basically what where the government is paying the money. So this basically 15,000 cities basically which is getting created. So you have to pay the rent, right? If you are having the rainy season, if you are having the rainy season, so you have to pay the money with, right? Because it's a subscription plan. If you pay the money, then only basically subscription, or basically you give the skilled worker basically. You give the skilled worker to us instead of the money. That is basically the barter system, basically old system, basically how the old system was working. Old system means you can say previously basically when the money was not exist, that time basically how the world was working. That you give me this product, I will give you that product. So like this basically the barter system was there. So that was basically a very old system, and that system basically still basically is working. Mm, Few stuff basically can't be connected with the monetary stuff. So that's why basically the barter system still exists, because whatever system which is getting eliminated from the world, that exists in somewhere basically, and that basically is the remember that this barter system was ended, and the reason was this. So the reason is also basically displayed in front of the world. So that basically nowadays each and every systems are basically displayed in the form of movies, in the form of serials, and in the form of blood cells. So if nowadays basically, for example, barter system is getting over, and got completely over. So why that got over? Why? What was the reason? That everything is basically connected with this blood cells, and the creation is done, and the energies are basically also created. So whatever physical stuff is ongoing in this world, that all the things basically are by default converted into the physical places, and physical places means that is by default going to convert into energy, and then it is going to convert into the blood cells, and that blood cells is going to by default going to affect to your body parts. That is by default because each and every blood cells are connected with your each and every body parts basically. For example, your teeth is paining, your head is paining, your head got some damage, your hand got some damage. That is basically directly connected with the blood cells. Few doctors says that we basically directly give you the medicine, and few doctors says that no, basically you have to check the blood cells and lots of things you have to do. So that depends upon the few doctors says that if this has happened to your body, that means this way only this the things can happen. So they are so experts basically. They are so experts, but they are doctor. So doctor is there, then basically they are telling that we also have to keep the status of each and every department. So that's basically a different part that basically connects to the business world. Business world means like education is converted into business world. So education is converted into the business world. Education has converted into the business world. What business world? That is basically we have taken the example of capsicum. Capsicum is basically if any MS University MBA person gets clears from the MBA and starts the work, then basically his body is going to generate capsicum, and that capsicum cost is 35 rupees. If Harvard University person is clearing the MBA and he gets the job, then basically he gets the job in good MNC company. There his capsicum, there his body energy basically cost of the capsicum will be 100 dollar basically, and same way Oxford it will cost $300. So we can just imagine the critical level of the nowadays the business also, because they are directly connecting to the your blood cells, and that is directly affecting to your body parts basically. This is basically connecting to the responsibility, what responsibility the each and every person have. So here I will take one more example. For example, one story basically I will tell. There was one person basically who was applying in naukri.com, and he was basically applying since 17 18 years. So he was a member, like he was the member of naukri.com, but suddenly basically they changed the suddenly he stopped getting the job. That the reason was basically the naukri.com has blocked his resume, and due to some certain reason. So naukri.com, where basically it sits in Noida, that everybody knows. So from Noida basically, but in real basically what happened, the real people basically are never staying in Noida basically. They are directly they are staying in those places where basically the people has been banned. For example, Vadodara people, some people has banned um, this person basically. Then basically they directly stay in Vadodara city, and they says that yeah basically we have banned this person, so we want to check that whether he is getting job or not. So for that basically that person says that yeah basically he's basically as a jasus team basically of the job search team basically. They says that yeah basically he's not getting the job. So basically the ban you have done, that is perfectly fine. So this was basically the responsibility of the naukri.com. Nowadays basically the job recruiter are converted themselves to like this profession basically. So this is basically called as a dadagiri of naukri.com. So here basically we are not discussing that. Here basically we are discussing that the government has taken subscription plan, and the subscription plan basically in subscription plan basically government has sorry, the World Bank has told that we have spent more lots of money for the 200 crore population. That is basically 2 to 3 lakh subscription plan we have created for you. So you can just imagine basically if 2 to 3 lakh subscription plan the World Bank has created just to have a rain in one city, sorry, in country, there are 15,000 cities which is getting used just for raining season only. But if 15,000 cities are created, so you can just imagine the rainy season what it's going to generate in the country basically. Here we have taken example of the India country. So what India country is going to generate from this 50,000, 15,000, not 50,000, it's a 15,000, 1 5. So you can just imagine the 15,000 cities what they are going to generate for the India country and for the 200 population. And by default, I have told that subscription plan how they are taking 20 percentage people are going to get disease. This many earthquakes by default going to happen. This many trees are going to fall, this many buildings are going to fall. So this basically are subscription plan that basically buildings are getting old. So by default basically the government knows that after this certain year the building is going to fall 100% because the creation is done according to that, right? So if the creation is according to then basically up to what level the building is going to be in standing position. So by default it's going to be down only. So that basically government gives indirect notice also to the each and every building groups that this building is going to fall, and after this certain time basically the building is going to fall. So according to that you send the subscription plan to the India country. So that is also one of the point. So here basically what we are discussing that each and every people have the responsibility of each and every country. So here basically the World Bank responsibilities they have connected 3 lakh 2 to 3 lakh subscription plans. Connected means they have created 2 to 3 lakh subscription plan, and in 2 to 3 lakh subscription plan which they have created for India country, they are telling that we have created lots of plans also for you. So there the plans basically converts into nowadays people always think negative and positive way, that if this person is doing something for you, then basically why they are doing, there might be some negative and positive thinking, right? That it might possible that he might be helping you to do some certain task from you. So that is also point. So 2 to 3 lakh subscription plan is there. So that is also like this connected basically. So each and every energy company, for example India have their own energy plants like Reliance is there, Tata Group is there, ONGC is there. ONGC is very old, it's a central basically energy company. And then Ames Oxygen is there. So like this basically there are many energy companies who basically generates the energies, and they generate the human souls also. Human souls means we can say, I will take one example. uh, uh, Male and female basically have the relations, right? According to the relation they gets the birth, but in this birth basically the main parties of the human souls which is basically have the authority, those groups only have the authority who basically are into the energy sector. That is basically Ames Oxygen, ONGC, Reliance, Tata Group. So they only have the authority to give the human souls inside the lady's body. So like this the combination, everybody knows basically how the birth happens. So here basically the main role was human soul's role, which was dumped into the lady's body, and which was basically generated the birth basically. So that is basically also one of. So here basically what I want to say is the subscription plan includes this all, the birth control basically which the each and every countries is going to happen. That basically controls are also basically connected with the subscription plan. So government says that we want this much birth in this many periods. So according to that subscription plan happens. So I have taken one example of the 15,000 cities which is generating the rainy season. Same way, basically, the birth is going to happen to how many bodies. That subscription plan also might have created some cities, right? So assume that connects to 35,000 buildings, 30,000, 35,000 cities, and these 35,000 cities are going to generate this generation in India basically. Means in this time of period, if any birth gets happen, for that birth basically the subscription plan was taken this, and this subscription plan has taken by the 35,000 cities. So the 35,000 cities has generated the next generation of the country. So if anybody wants to know this generation has basically generated from which cities, which energy plant, then basically it's very easy to diagnose basically. You can say disclose basically. You can say disclose means if you want any reports that how many birth has taken in this many years, then basically it's very easy to track basically, because nowadays the report are basically also getting generated that how many people have got the birth. And for example in 2000 18 19 basically, how many people got birth. So if you want the detailed data then, and which type of birth is happened in in this country, then basically it's easy to track. Why? Because the subscription plan government has taken, and government has told that we want 1 lakh mathematician, 1 lakh history people, 1 lakh science people, 1 lakh commerce people, 1 lakh accounting people, 1 lakh God loving people, 1 lakh God not loving people. So you can just imagine the government the subscription plan basically. So how they decide this all plans basically? That is also basically the question, that how they say that we want this 1 lakh mathematician people, how they say that we want 1 lakh good English learning people, how they decide what are the factors basically in this. They say that we want this type of birth basically according to the subscription has taken by the government. So subscription itself is a very big topic basically, because the World Bank is telling that 3 to 4 lakh subscription plan has created. So you can just imagine 3 to 4 lakh subscription plan expenses has done by the World Bank. So it's not a small expense, right? It's not a small expense. So birth basically by default happens according to the blood group, that basically everybody knows that according to this blood group, this birth is going to happen. So assume that there are 35 to 37 blood groups in this world, and according to that, the 35,000 cities are created according to the blood cells group basically. So you can just imagine the management group also who do the plans basically. You can say up to what level the plans basically the government does, and up to what level the plans the satellites people groups do. So we can just imagine the plans by the done by the satellite groups, and by the energy groups, and by the power company groups, and the nuclear power company groups. And in nuclear plant, power plant, basically which country is at the higher level, that basically everybody knows. That basically government knows basically, that up to what level the nuclear plant are basically connected with the each and every cities. So here basically we are talking about the birth plan basically. For example, in 2018 to 19, this many people have got birth. So that is going to generate which type of birth basically. That is basically by default decided by the nuclear plant only, by the subscription plan group basically you can say. And the subscription plan basically is created, that basically everybody knows that it is created by the certain groups. And here basically we are taken that 35,000 cities are has created the subscription plan for the birth basically you can say. So in 2018-19 whatever birth is happened, that is basically happened from these cities basically. That is basically the 35,000 cities. But nowadays each and every things are getting tracked, and for that basically IT industry has created lots of data science project also, that this birth has happened, and which cities are basically connected with this birth. Because why basically it's connected, if 35,000 cities has created this whole birth, so they are basically responsible by default for his next generation, For example, one birth has happened in, for example, the in 2018-19, around assume that of 6 lakh birth has happened. Just assume in India 6 lakh birth has happened. So this 6 lakh birth which has happened, for that next generation responsibility is basically, you can say, is done by this 35,000 cities. So this 35,000 cities will be responsible for this 6 lakh birth, because they have generated the birth, right? They have generated the birth, and the certain World Bank groups have given the created the subscription plan that this money birth if you want, then basically we have used this 35,000 cities. So we can just imagine the birth basically which is happening, and according to birth is okay, but the depthness of the birth level, that you just see, that you want this many doctors. For example, you want from 6 lakh, basically you want 5,000 doctors. So according to that, basically your subscription plan are sent, and they basically know so that also that this birth is going to become a doctor. So just imagine, and that person basically might be trying to become some accountant, chartered accountant, but the subscription plan is telling that he is going to become a doctor. So that is basically also one of the challenging stuff, basically how they convert the accounts chartered accountant person to the doctor. So you can just imagine, basically the person want to become chartered accountant, but his subscription plan has taken as a doctor. So that is also basically one of the stuff, basically you can say. So you can just imagine, the subscription plan birth. So here basically we have taken the 6 lakh birth is going to happen in 2018-19, and this birth has happened from this 35,000 cities. So this 35,000 cities has generated 6 lakh birth. So in this topic, basically we are stopping here, and this is basically 170 number part. And in 70 number part, we have discussed that how the next generation is setted by the certain cities data.